Welcome back to the Tailosive Space Podcast. My name is Nick, your host for this evening. Actually, you know what? We're just going to have DJ be the host tonight because it's more exciting to have DJ be the host, and I want to take a day off, honestly. Because, boy, did we have production hell.
Go take you a break, Nick.
We had production heck last week.
Oh, God. So, what's this one officially going to be called? We had point 2 last week. Is this going to be point 3?
Yeah, why don't we call this SN 9.3? Because we recorded SN 9, and then we had an issue with that. Do you remember what that issue was?
The audio recording on my computer stopped.
Yes. So we didn't have audio for SN 9.1. 9.2, we re-recorded that episode that evening. You know, spent extra time because we wanted to bring you guys regular content because, you know, we're professionals or something. And then such a funny joke because we're not, and we're not producing things like professionals at the moment. We did 9.2 and it went great, and I really liked that show. It was a really good show that we recorded, DJ. I think it was one of the best ones.
It was a really good show.
Honestly, I think it was one of the best ones we've done.
Could have been the best one.
It could have. And
we actually planned out how we were going to do stuff and had a second shot at it. It was so good.
We had the plans, we had the articles, we had the lists, we even had a first take. We were working on our second take. Like, all of my jokes that normally don't work were actually working that episode because it was the second take. Yeah, so then we get to the post-production, and poor DJ sends me his video file, and I do not know what's going on. Still don't know what's going on. His video file basically wasn't playing back in Final Cut or QuickTime or anything. He tried re-uploading it to Google Drive or Dropbox and iCloud Drive.
Dropbox, iCloud.
I downloaded on my
a
Mac.
Completely different codec and format.
And then he recompressed it and put it in a different format from was it H.265 to MP4, and then I downloaded it on like all of my Apple devices, and none of them were working. And they were like 6 gigabyte files, right, DJ? Like, this wasn't a trivial thing just to download.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like just massive.
Exactly. Well, and with my slower internet speeds, that was a bit of a long download commitment for each one of these to fail. And so, anyway, at some point, I was just like, you know what? I'm embarrassed. I keep asking DJ to recompress it and resend it to me. So we're just going to scrap this episode. So this is SN 9.3, the third time, the third take. Hopefully it works. So if it doesn't, you won't be listening to this.
I guess I shouldn't have made the joke about hopefully SN 9.2 would stay 9.2 instead of 0.3.
Oof.
That probably jinxed us.
Don't jinx us, please, DJ. We've had enough problems recently.
No. Knock on wood.
Exactly. Well, hey, since we haven't talked for basically 2 weeks, there is plenty of news. What's the most important thing that we should start off the show with?
Yep. Let's go with a big boom down in Boca Chica.
Big boom down in Boca Chica. I like that. That just rolls off the tongue and makes my lips just, so perky. Get to say big boom out of Boca Chica. Yeah, so SN9 had a slight minor... I hesitate to even call it an issue. It was such a minor problem that... You know, I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, they can just refurbish this and get it out the door in just a couple days, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you saw the picture of the Raptor that I sent you. You could just buff it out and polish it up, can't you?
No problems at all. There are definitely not huge holes and mangled pieces of metal. Oh, that poor thing.
Yeah. So if you want to see a Raptor looking in a great condition, go to Boca Chica Mary's Twitter and just scroll down a little bit. You'll see it. It looks like a black charred hunk of metal.
Poor thing.
Looks great. Pick it up, use it on SN10.
Yes.
But yeah.
I think we got quite the future coming up because after SN9 we had let's walk through SN9's launch and takeoff. So it was delayed, right? Like, I believe half of last week's SN 9.2 attempt was talking about the FAA clearance issues. The day after we recorded, all of those were cleared up. So even at that point, I was like, well, this episode is now useless because half the show was us talking about how Elon and the FAA need to just kiss and make up. And they did the very next day. So
it seems like between the day that we record and when it's uploaded, it's just everything happens.
Which is why we're recording, because I want news tomorrow.
So
yeah. So we had that FAA issue, and then they got that cleared up, and we got the kind of alerts that things were going to be going down. We had the road closures and the notice to airmen, and it was all like looking like it was going to happen last Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday. Or was that Wednesday? Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Huh? Yeah. Yep, it was.
Tuesday. I thought it was going to be on Wednesday, and then it kind of just...
I know.
Whoop, hello.
Me too. It was kind of just snuck right up on me. So I tuned into all the different streams, Lab Padre, Tim Dodd, and all of the local figures down there. And I was like, okay, this is going to happen. But then again, this is an SN, so it might not happen. But I'm still going to be excited for whatever does happen. And then we got range violation. And they paused the tanking. And I was like, oh, boy, well, can't have them all. We're just going to have to go tomorrow. Oh, well, they had backup dates and stuff. So, yeah, what was that range violation?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was going up until you sent me the SpaceX link.
Oh, wow, really that late?
I was like, this is a joy. I mean, lunch. Hello.
Yeah, good thing you were on lunch, or you could have the opportunity to watch it, because that was definitely a little bit of a surprise. But that range violation was because some guy with a pickup truck was in the restricted area, and you just got to wonder, these poor locals who have been going to these beaches for 30 years to go fishing or whatever, and all of a sudden they can't on this random Tuesday afternoon because, what's this happening? SpaceX? What's that? It's just trying to get us to Mars. But, poor guy.
I imagine it's an old dude with a bucket hat and a 5-gallon bucket that he just sits on the beach and casts out his rod.
That's about the thought I was having on who this was. And nothing against the guy. It was just kind of fun to watch the whole progress stop. And for about 15 minutes there, I was like, oh, all right, guess we're going to be going to our backup date on Wednesday. But nope. They just kept going through. And I was like, oh, they're still tanking. Oh, we got the flame. Oh, there's nobody there anymore. Oh, okay. Well, and then...
Oh, SpaceX has a stream.
I got my notification for SpaceX. SpaceX started a live stream. I'm like, oh, yippee! So I tuned right into that and sent it out to the usual suspects, yourself included. And man, we had quite the live stream. I think this is the best produced SN live stream that we've ever had. What did you think about the live stream?
It definitely was a whole lot better. And the fact that this time, instead of having the clip from on the pad, watching it fall down, just posted to Twitter later, they actually had that in the stream, and it was so
that was the perfect angle. That is the perfect angle to watch this transition to vertical.
I want to see the explosion from that angle, just like it just falling, and all you see is stainless steel, and then
I think it's across the street. I think that camera's across the street, so it's kind of like pointed up. So I think it went out of frame. But yeah, definitely some GoPros on the pad would be pretty epic.
If you can find them afterwards.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
At that point, you're just gonna have to sacrifice a good camera that has SDI or something, and just run it to an external recorder somewhere else.
Wouldn't be the end of the world.
That shot would be just so pretty.
Just the one frame of it, though.
But let's talk about its trip up before we talk about its trip to the ground.
Good idea. We started off that.
So it started off. Started off like the SN8 went fairly smooth. Except it looked
SN8
like the Raptors just weren't that happy on ascent.
Yeah.
SN9. It started out like SN8, but it just didn't look like they were as happy as 8.
Got that.
Had its typical shutdown of the 3 engines like it did on 8. So one was like a minute and a half in. Another was probably about 2 or minute and a half to 2 minutes later, and then the other one right before they started doing the belly flop.
I gotta just.
And what did you think of the belly flop
back
this
with
time?
The engines, though, I gotta say, I really hate watching those engines shut down because at this point, this is the second SN that we've seen do this whole procedure. So we were expecting the Raptors to be shut down as we were progressing through, but each and every time there's the flame, and it's just like, and I'm just always like, oh no, we lost the mission. And it's like it keeps going, and for like a solid 10 seconds, I'm waiting for that. What's the announcer guy? They have the announcer guy. What's his name?
Oh yeah, they actually had
Anyway,
him announcing this time. I can't remember. It's the bigger guy.
Everything is nominal here on SL40.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just waiting for him to say, and unfortunately, we are gonna stop today's broadcast because of technical difficulties with the Raptors. But nope, they kept going. All three of them ended up shutting down.
And then I don't know if that was O2 or if it was just smoke. Every time it shuts down, it just has the cloud coming down from beside it. Like,
and then there's always like the random little flames that are just like licking around the engines, and you're just like, oh my gosh, when are these things gonna blow? Like, yikes, these things are a little scary. Just watching it. I really don't like the in the skirt camera view, and I know it's the most up and close and personal like look at the Raptors as they're operating, but it's just too much stress. Whenever I see that, I'm just like sitting there like it's like a little tuft of smoke, or
what is it gonna burn through and screw up is what I'm thinking every time.
When is the Raptor gonna start consuming itself? And it didn't, thankfully, yet, but
yet.
And this one was only to 10 clicks. They didn't make it up to 12.5 kilometers this time. They were only going to 10, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Well, the FAA was a little mad, so they kind of had to make them happy.
Do you think it was
lower.
the FAA?
I'm assuming. I don't know. It could have been, probably. Either that or they just didn't need to go 2 clicks higher whenever they're just falling about the same amount. I mean, they sat there the first time hovering for, 2 minutes almost?
That was stressful. Just watching this thing hover. Back to SN8, like, oh my gosh. We had no idea what was happening. It was just hovering up there, and we're all like, Elon?
And there's no clouds behind it or anything like that, so we just thought it was continue going. Turns out it was just sitting there
for like 2 minutes, just hovering. But, oh well. So it made the transition just fine to horizontal flight, which is really impressive when I think just a couple days before SN9 went up, a bunch of creators were on the road as SN10, I believe, was being moved over. And so there's like a lot of people just like taking selfies and stuff like right next, like 10, 20 feet away from, I mean, not 10, but
it's so big,
unbelievably huge. And you realize that this huge starship is flipping over on one Raptor, and it's fun to watch as a spectator from the ground looking up, but imagining the scale of this thing being like right next to it as it makes this flip maneuver must just be amazing. I can't imagine that. So,
I mean, it's like literally looking at an apartment building flying in the air.
I mean, a skinny apartment building, but nonetheless a tall one. It is a big boy, that's for sure. So I think the belly flop maneuver went fairly nominally. There was nothing super.
Did you get scared at all whenever it went really, really steep?
Really steep.
Because it ended up going down to like 45 degrees.
I did notice that. It was right after the flip,
down.
Right?
It was a little bit after. It kind of slowly had started going, and then it.
I guess I
got
didn't
down to that,
notice
like,
that. I probably chalked it up to camera. Not camera being at a weird angle or something.
Yeah, it ended up pointing down, and what we can assume is like just trying to see if it can translate far, or how far it can translate, and then it did kind of dip back down with its butt end kind of going down some more, but I thought it was going to get to the point where the flaps couldn't do anything for it because those front little flaps are tiny. What are you going to do if it goes too far?
Use them cold gas thrusters. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but I'm not going to say I was kind of bored watching it come down, but like it was just like, okay, we've kind of seen this, and objectively, I think that's the more boring part of these test flights. And obviously, this is only the second one, so I really shouldn't be calling it boring because it's the second time we've ever seen this done. But it's not quite as interesting. It's slow moving, aerodynamic, like an airplane, belly flopping skydiver, which is impressive when you think of the scale. But I was just kind of like, all right, we're getting ready for the landing burn. Here we go. This is where SN8 failed. Let's see if SN9 can fix this. DJ.
No.
Nope. It started looking so good, though. For like a whole 2 seconds, I was like, yeah! No! Oh, no!
It looked better at the very beginning of it than it did on SN8.
It did.
That's
we got
for
the
sure.
mock diamonds and everything.
And then we just got our hearts broken.
It broke me into millions of pieces. I'm still picking them up. They're all over the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
It was looking so good right after the flip, and then it just couldn't get back over.
Yeah, it hit the ground a lot harder than the last one.
Oh, yeah, much bigger boom. Much bigger.
Do you think that's because there was more propellant, or just because it was a higher velocity that it was landing at?
Probably a mix of the two. Also, if I recall, SN8 kind of landed almost on its
it pretty much
engines,
landed.
did it not?
I mean, it had almost.
So
the only thing SN8 hadn't done was decelerate. It had done the flip, but it hadn't decelerated.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think there was a little bit of momentum.
Yeah,
left,
so I think that one, being that it had ran its engines more, it had a little less propellant, and it landed on its engine, so it collapsed down into itself. Whereas, show them how
SN9 was
went.
basically still belly flopping. It was trying really hard. There's a few little slow-mo cameras and freeze frames of the live stream where it looks like a CG render just sitting there, like flying down. It's just like at like a 45-degree angle to the ground, and it's just like a few milliseconds away from utter destruction. I think it was going like at 260 miles an hour or something crazy like that. Do you have an exact speed? Yeah, it was going fast, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no clue.
I saw the number. But
a little bit. It was a little bit less than terminal velocity.
So we're still in. But let's back up like 10 seconds. We're still in belly flopping mode. We have two Raptors attempt to light up. One instantly lights up, and we have beautiful mock diamonds out of that thing the entire time. It's just gorgeous to watch those mock diamonds come out. But the other one kind of sputtered a little bit, just a little spit. It was trying. It was trying, man.
It had something stuck in its throat, and it shot it out.
I did see it ejecting some stuff. There were like two times where it was ejecting some kind of metal. Maybe it was just a thermal blanket or something, but something was coming out. So as soon as I saw the second one wasn't starting up, I was just like, "Oh boy, well this is toast. Get ready for another boom, everybody in Boca." But yeah, we had the one lone Raptor was trying to do the flip maneuver, and it just didn't have enough energy or delta V to completely negate the swing, the momentum from transitioning to vertical flight. So it was basically landing at a 45-degree angle to the ground. And there's some awesome slow-mo videos. You can definitely look it up on YouTube for yourself later if you want to take a look at it. But yeah, it was a little bit of a sad sight to behold.
When I was watching it back, I was really wondering if they just cut as much power to the Raptor as they could whenever they realized it was not going to turn back over, because it was pointing at the other. It was pointing at Starhopper and SN10 and tanks and all that whenever it was coming down. So I was like, I wonder how much they cut the throttle at that point so it wouldn't just like push a little bit further away.
That's not a bad thought, and I instantly. I was like, obviously everyone was worried about SN10. Is it safe having SN10 that close? I wasn't super concerned about it because at the end of the day, even if SN10 was consumed in the fireball of SN9 on the pad before launch, SN11 is less than a couple weeks away from being ready too. So it's not like it'll slow down progress all that much. Obviously, if we had to lose SN10, but a lot of people were worried about the tank farm, the landing pad, and all that stuff that they had there in SN10. I wasn't super concerned about it as we were having the explosion happen, but in hindsight, I think I should have been a little bit more concerned about it because it looks like SpaceX got pretty lucky. It looks like SN9 landed in the correct direction. If it landed in the other direction, the explosive gases pretty much went away from the road and away from SN10 and away from the tank farm. And it just went in the one direction that was just lake. So that was very lucky of SpaceX. I wouldn't be surprised if in future they'll move it to a different landing pad or somewhere else, maybe after SN11 or something. But this is just kind of risky in my opinion.
They probably could move the landing pad further down and then just get it to fly to it. I mean, they're going up 10, 15 clicks.
You'd think,
so,
but
we have a solution suggested by a Twitter user to Elon. Why don't you talk about that really quick, and I'll make sure my iPad does not die.
I love Elon mostly for the reason that it just feels like if you have a good enough idea, he'll like listen to you on Twitter, which is not something that most tech companies or big famous people would ever do. But this guy, Mad Overlord on Twitter, this guy with 750 followers, which, it's not nothing, but he's just, it says on his bio, early computer game designer and hacker. And this guy just had this thought, and he said, at Elon Musk, question, why only light 2 engines for landing? Any engine failure means loss of vehicle, so you have 2 single points of failure. Why not light all 3, do the flip, and then pick the best 2 to turn on and turn off the other? And Elon Musk says, at Mad Overlord, we were too dumb. And it was in that moment
Elon Musk
not just
himself dumb,
but the other engineers on these projects, right? Like I know how this engineering problem can happen, because it happens in accounting and many other places in the world where you just kind of get like target fixation, and you're so focused on fixing this problem, and you're like, all right, well, how much control authority do we need to do this? All right, so that's about 2 Raptors at 80% thrust or whatever. All right, great. And oh man, we lost SN8. All right, let's do this again for SN9. Hopefully the Raptors won't bust. And it just takes someone with an outside perspective like this Mad Overlord guy to say, hey, why not try all 3? And if one of them doesn't work, then you'll still land. And it also takes someone to listen to those ideas. So props to Elon and props to Mad Overlord.
I'm still kind of surprised that they haven't done like a really strong hold down test of just firing them somewhere, be it horizontal anyway, maybe at McGregor or something like that, where they're firing all 3 for the entire duration, waiting whatever the flight profile would say it would be, and then firing them again. Because you would think if they're firing for longer than they're really tested for, or at least their tests have been, there might be something wrong with 1 or 2. So it could be a good idea to fire it for the duration and then
like a test,
fire it again.
A duration test before on each serial number engine, or like a test overall to see how they can improve. Okay.
Just in general. I mean,
if it isn't, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, I mean, you're having 3 engines right together. I mean, they don't typically test the engines together except for whenever they're actually on the SNs. So why not have some kind of horizontal ground test where they can fire 3 of them right beside each other, do the separated cut off, so the first cut, second cut, and then the third cut before the flip. Do that, wait the flight profile time length, and then just light the other one again, or the other 2. Let's not only light 1 again, let's light 2.
You can simulate a lot better those little bubbles and stuff, and have more control and see what the. Because every rocket engine, I mean, it's not ideal for a rocket engine to have a bubble of gas. Most of them would prefer not to, but most rocket engines are designed to have some kind of, ability to handle gas ingested into the system instead of liquid propellant. It's just the way spaceflight works. You got to have some slightly durable hardware, but I don't know. I would say if it's just to get an overall idea of how this works on a horizontal flight, I would say they're likely already collecting all the data that they need. I mean, those SNs are just wired with sensors and live telemetry. Like, I don't think there's a single thing that they could learn besides maybe being able to slightly dismantle combusted Raptors later. But that telemetry and data is probably already being collected, and it might not be worth it to them to build a whole Texas test site that can support 3 Raptors on a horizontal axis when they just have it.
But I mean, there's only so much data you can get from recording electronic signals into a computer. I mean, if you can actually take it like a regular mechanic or something like that, and this messed up here. Let's shut it down before it blows up, and then actually break it apart, look at it, and see what's wrong. That's always going to be a better option than only recording digital data. Definitely. So,
you should tweet it to Elon. Maybe like Mad Overlord, you'll see the excellence. The excellency will notice you, and he'll admit that he was wrong and that they need to have a test.
Let me tweet it to Mad Overlord, and then he can probably get Elon's attention.
Elon definitely just hired Mad Overlord to be their engineer test guy. Yeah, pretty interesting. Did you see the conversation about hot gas versus cold gas thrusters for Starship?
The endogenous
version? I don't even know what that word means.
Endogenous is the pressurizing. Basically using the methane as
I don't know what
thrusters.
the fuel is going to be, but I saw
about?
some tweets from Elon saying that the cold gas thrusters, their ISP is like 30, and what's ISP stand for those non-initiated?
It's
ISP
awful.
Is specific impulse, but what does
specific
it stand for?
Impulse.
Specific impulse.
Specific impulse.
Okay.
I don't think it has a specific reason for the I.
A little Apple, lowercase I, ISP. So the specific impulse of the cold gas thrusters is lower than what a hot gas thruster. And for those who don't know, Super Dracos on the Dragon capsules are hot gas. They're I believe, tetrachlorohyadzine, whatever that thing that Scott Manley can roll off his tongue, and it just sounds so perfect whenever he says that. Do you know how to say that? Hexachlorohydrazine or something. Anyway, the acid stuff that is really deadly. Anyway, the rocket
stuff.
fuel that instantly combusts.
But I did find out what ISP actually stands for. It's the specific impulse is usually written out as like the formula version as
it's like an irrational number. Okay.
Lowercase sp. So it's literally just ISP specific impulse. That's just what what the scientific. Let's write it out in an equation form is.
Fancy.
The more you know, because I didn't know it either.
Cool. Yeah. So anyway, Elon and some other people were just having a conversation on Twitter about how using hot gas instead of cold gas thrusters would provide more control authority and possibly allow a failure of a Raptor to not mean loss of vehicle if they can catch it early enough. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting convo. And also, I have to wonder how fragile these Raptors are going to be, because I think as we started this whole Starship thing back in end of 2019, when we were like, okay, we're going to actually start building Starships at scale quickly. The Raptor seemed to be like the solved issue. Like at least back then, the biggest limiting factor was like the tank pressurizations. And the Raptor was kind of like, okay, we already have Raptor tests. We're able to fly Starhopper, and SN4 not SN4. SN4 went boom. What was the other one? SN5? SN5 had a hop, right? Anyway, those hops always went flawlessly, right? Like it was like, okay, great. To me, the Raptor didn't seem to be the problem. But here we are with SN8 and SN9. The Raptors are the cause of the loss of the vehicle both times. I wonder how delicate these are, and obviously these are highly precise machines that are handling many, many bar of pressure, 300 bar or something in the chamber. Like that's an insane amount of pressure. Yeah, but
3 plus.
But to land on Mars, right? The idea is to land one of these with these Raptor engines on an unprepared terrain. And you saw how bad, was it SN8 that had the concrete come back and blow up the insides of one of the Raptor engines? Like, just a little bit of fodder. Just a little bit of fodder foreign material can really mess up these engines because they have such low tolerances for anything out of the usual. And I get it's literally rocket science, so maybe there's nothing they can do about it. But I would wonder if these hot gas thrusters, if placed similarly to where the lunar Starship concepts hot gas thrusters are, or actually maybe those are Merlins, some Merlin-sized. Some smaller version.
Some smaller version.
Obviously, methalox, not going to be kerosene. But anyway, all that to say, like, I wonder if some of these hot gas thrusters will add a little bit of ability to, perform most of the deceleration with actual Raptors, but once you get down to 50 meters above the surface of Mars or something, you switch over to these more still powerful enough to maintain a slow descent rate hot gas thrusters that can then land but not have the issue of regolith and stuff getting kicked up into the motors and possibly causing a loss of vehicle RUD type situation. So anyway, interesting conversations.
I would hate to be the first crew go into that and just knowing that, hey, there's a lot of stuff that's going to get thrown up.
That was honestly a big question with the Apollo landings, which is why they had the ascent stage basically just take off from the descent stage, because they didn't know about relighting the engine. And there was a big question that, would regolith pop up and bust the descent stage engine? But thankfully it didn't on any of those missions. And the moon is, I think, a little bit of a different surface than Mars. I think Mars is more rocky, and the moon is kind of more dust-covered rocks that are likely bigger pieces of rocks, I guess. I don't know. So, anyway, interesting thoughts on SN9. But SN9 isn't the only starship that we got to see the other day. SN10 and SN9, for a very brief moment, existed together, side by side. We had the whole family. SN9, SN10, SN7, and SN... Oh, and Hopper, Star Hopper. They were all right next to each other, right? It was beautiful.
Yeah, Hopper.
So SN10.
Yeah, not 7, Hopper. Only.
Not 7? No, not. It was like 7.3 or whatever, the test tank.
So,
yeah, 7.2.
Oh, yeah, 7.2. Yeah, the test tank.
SN10.
But as we're recording this today, on Monday, the
8th of
if this
February.
one actually goes up, the 8th, we had cryoproofing test on SN10. So it got a little chilly. It's got its
Beautiful.
Frost coat on out there.
Nice to see they're stepping a little bit closer. Now, walking through the steps before we launch SN10, we have the assembly and then the cryo tests, and that typically lasts possibly like a week or so, depending on how many tests they have to run, how many anomalies they find. And then they'll go back, they'll take the entire SN10, take it back into the high bay, and install a Raptor engines onto the bottom, and then they go back at...
I'm not even sure if they're going to take it back to the high bay. Because, I mean, they already... I don't think so, because they already had SN39, the Raptor SN39 right up.
I didn't know that the Raptors were installed right on the test stand. But anyway, somehow they install the Raptors, and then we have the test duration tests, right? They do some static fires for the Raptors, and then after that we get to see it fly. Yeah. So it's nowhere close to flying right now, but it's definitely taking some steps there. And yeah, we have SN39. 2 weeks at minimum. Yeah,
I'll say 2 weeks at minimum.
I think that's probably safe as a minimum. I saw some guy on the internet was saying, I believe the 15th of February, and I was just like, yeah, no, that's not happening. That's like, Elon time is bad, but that timeline was like worse than...
You'll be lucky to get a static car by then.
Yeah. Yep. They're still analyzing the data from SN9. I haven't heard
looks like
Elon say, I think we have a FaceTime delay, sorry about that. I haven't heard Elon say anything specific about what SN9, what happened with SN9. Obviously, something happened, but I don't think they'll ever launch SN10 until they figure out exactly what went wrong with SN9 and have a fix for it.
No, they're probably going to be scouring over that. My realistic timeline on this is it's probably going to be another month before we see it go up.
Month and 2 weeks.
That's just what I think. But we do have an idea of the 2 Raptors so far that are going to be going on it. So we had a photo of SN39 sitting right beside SN10, which these SN numbers are getting confusing. So Raptor 39 is what I'll say. Raptor 39 was sitting right beside SN10. Don't know if it's actually been installed just yet, but that photo was from a few days ago. And then what looked like to be Raptor 50 got trucked in a couple days ago as well. Haven't seen any photos of that one anywhere else out there yet. But now what's the third Raptor for this one going to be? We jumped from 39 to 50, so...
nobody knows. I mean, I think at this point they're starting to stockpile Raptors for BN1.
Probably.
Which, that's going to take a lot of Raptors, and obviously they're going to do a few hops with it and stuff and figure out the aerodynamics first. But I would imagine that's where some of those missing Raptors went. And what was it, 42 has already flown? 42 was on Raptor 42 is on SN8.
Yeah.
So they're kind of all out of order. But this is an older Raptor that'll be going on SN10. Which, not a bad thing, but...
And this could actually be the one that they took off and replaced with 42. They could have figured out whatever was wrong and put it back. I don't know which one 42 replaced. I can't remember, but possibly. If you know, let us know.
That was a while ago. Yeah. Let us know how wrong we are in the comments below per the usual arrangement. So that's SN10. SN11, though, is already cooking, which is why I wasn't super concerned about having SN10 right next to SN9 during liftoff and landing, because I knew SN11 was just right around the corner. And, geez, we got stacking and, not just stacking, but, how stacked is this baby?
Well, let's put it this way. 2 days ago, I believe it was, it went into the high bay. I think tonight they already have the nose cone on.
Yeah,
so
they do. That was yesterday.
It's
Actually,
done.
they had the nose cone on yesterday.
Oh, well, there we go. Yeah. So it's sitting there. It's capped off.
It looks like it could take off. It looks like it could take off. Obviously, they have a lot of plumbing and electrical and tests and stuff. So it's not actually, but it looks in the high bay. It looks like it's ready to go, which is really fun because
it looks like us. It's
are
good on the outside, but not completely finished everywhere else. So.
Are you saying that my set isn't this beautiful in 360 degrees?
You've seen how mine is. It's like good frame. Everything else is a tornado.
Wouldn't say it's a tornado, but it doesn't look crispy. That's for sure. It's just very blank walls and plain stuff. Yeah. How did we get there? That was funny. BN1.
Let's get to something exciting. There ain't much about BN1, but we finally got some large stacked pieces.
It's coming together. I can smell it. It is to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple weeks we'll see BN1 completed and fully stacked and getting ready for tests and whatnot. Now, it took us till SN8 to... go ahead.
The FaceTime delays.
We have for those watching, we have a really bad FaceTime delay right now, which is
thank you AT&T
usual arrangement with our internet situation.
I need Starlink.
Starlink, please save us.
But looking at the photos real quick, it looks like it's in the high bay. It's the 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's around that fourth set of bars coming off. It's looking like it's that high, and I'm about to try to see if I can figure out what the other ones look like stacked in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like the nose cones are almost up to the 6th. Whenever you're stacking the regular serial number 11 right now, looking at it, so it's basically almost half of its overall height with its current stacking, and it already looks big.
Crazy.
So 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's coming together, man. Yeah. I think we're just mere weeks away from BN1 being completed and obviously getting ready to do some tests. What do you think the first test they'll do on BN1 is? Like pressure tests, or do you think this is like a pressure till it pops?
It's gonna be pressure
test
tests. It's gonna be pressure tests. They're not gonna fly without doing that. Especially as large as it is and how big those fuel tanks are gonna have to be.
Yeah.
But the first
assuming
hop is gonna be
those
interesting.
pressure tests. Yeah. Do you think BN1 will be the first hop, or do you think it'll BN4 or 7 or something that'll do the first hops?
As long as they don't blow it up, static firing or pressure testing. It'll do a hop most likely, because I mean it's taken them a while to build this one, given that they're mainly focused on the SNs at this point.
Yeah.
But
exactly,
that's still a lot of material.
They're kind of killing two birds with one stone with each one of the SNs. They're learning how to do their welds better and get more bar pressure out of each tank. So Yeah, I would say probably at the very least by BN3 we'll see a test flight, whether that's a small hop or a full click hop. But yeah, cool stuff. Lots of records around in Boca Chica. Man, there's like SN9, SN10, SN11, BN1.
Yep.
We had explosions and tears of joy and tears of happiness, but we got even more records to talk about SpaceX because this week has not been a week off for SpaceX. We have even more records to talk about. No, it has not. What about that turnaround time, man?
So we had our 29-day turnaround. That was the record. What was it, last week? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we just broke it again. So we're down to 27. SpaceX is literally lighting a fire under everybody's butts down there in Florida. So yeah, that was Starlink 18 had its 27-day turnaround. I don't think they did a static fire, same way with the one that had the 29-day turnaround. Not 100% sure, but it only being 29 days or 27 days, I doubt it.
Well, at this point, like their static fire was practically the landing burn of the last one, so
basically, just get up there with a chimney sweep, kind of clean out the soot from the engine really quick.
If all right, that, we're ready to even, go. DJ, I mean, just take that thing back. I'm legitimately curious. I mean, the Falcon 9 is so reliable. I wonder if, just for the sake of breaking a record, and maybe they. I don't think Elon would ever do this because it wouldn't help them get to Mars quicker because it would kind of be a waste of resources. But it would be kind of fun to have them land a Falcon 9 on the drone ship and then just take it back to, like, as fast as they can, just take it right back to Slick 39A and tank that puppy back up and just set it off. Like, we're talking like 2 or 3 day turnaround, just the time it takes the drone ship to get back. Don't do any checks. Don't do anything.
They could go even crazier and just make sure the legs can retract well enough that they just sacrifice one of the drone ships, fill it up on the drone ship, go.
Yes. with it bouncing around on the waves.
Just the first stage though. I don't care. Once it reaches 10 flights, who cares? There's another one coming up.
Have it fly back. Oh, dude, we just solved the Falcon 9's problem. Have the drone ship have just enough propellant to give more propellant to the booster, and then have the booster fly itself back to Cape Canaveral. I fixed it.
All they'd have to do at that point is have like a nice tanker ship sitting out there ready to continue refilling it, and it can last out there for those Starlink missions for probably a good month, as long as it can keep it cryoed. So
yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to this idea.
It wouldn't be great
aerodynamically, but it'd be kind of cool.
Thinking about it as well, one of the things that we covered in last week's non-video at this point, the oil rigs that they're buying. Why not make one for the Starlink missions? And if you're going out to the same area multiple times, what's really stopping you?
Not
but
much.
you don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Basically, at this point with Falcon 9,
it wouldn't speed anything up, and they'd rather reuse that Falcon 9 after a 25-day checkout instead of 27. But yeah, great record for SpaceX. I really do wonder what they
do to it. I really wonder what they do in these turnaround days and what they fix.
I just imagine it used to be some guy with a really long clipboard with like a really long list of things, and like as they were going through them, they're like, okay, so we didn't have any problems with this system for the past 10 flights, so we're just gonna skip that page. All right, yeah, we can skip the page 13 there. Oh no, we can skip that. We'll skip that. Oh, that's an important one. Can you, Mike, just get a flashlight out and just check to make sure that there's no soot in the engines? All right, cool. All right, can you make sure it's vertical? Make sure the pointy end's up, the flamey end's down, and let's light this puppy. That's literally the checklist for SpaceX.
Basically.
Yeah.
And we have, of course, Sunday was a big day, right?
Yeah, man. I was just so excited about the game, right? That was something that happened.
Absolutely. I was not excited about the game. It was anime day for me. But
no.
We also had something else big on Sunday, is the Dragon capsule had its
Yes.
record-setting day in space. So it set the record for the consecutive amount of days by a U.S. capsule, not overall, because Soyuz has been going forever. But this previous record was held with 84 days in space as Skylab 4. So that was the last time that we were using capsules anyways, because we went straight from that to the space shuttle. Yeah. Now we're back to capsule again, but we have now passed that mark yesterday. So now I believe it's at 85 days as of recording today. But yeah, so Dragon's got another record, or a record. I don't know if it's got other records.
I think SpaceX just needs to get an entire warehouse just to fill up all of the records that they've been collecting lately. It's like a record for this, record for that, record for this. It's hard to keep track of.
It's like the Guinness World Record book just needs a separate book for SpaceX.
I think maybe we should do that. Just have just write the SpaceX section of Guinness Book of World Records, the Talos of Space version. Yeah. So not only did we have that, and I should linger on that a little bit longer. Having an active crewed spacecraft on station is a really risky thing, because there is hypergolic fuels on the Crew Dragon capsule that need to be temperature regulated. There's a lot of thermal concerns. There's a lot of just wear and tear. I mean, you're in the vacuum of space. Paint's going to deteriorate. Metal is going to expand and contract with each heat to night, day to night time orbit, and it's not an easy thing, right? Like, you can stick a satellite up there and you can design it in a way that it will, 99% of the time be fine, and if something minor fails, then oh well. But like, this is a manned spacecraft. It needs to be 100% reliable 100% of the time on station. And did I mention that the International Space Station is also the most expensive thing humanity has ever built? So you sure as heck wouldn't want to have, a few tons of hypergolic fuels come in contact with each other inches away from this most expensive science experiment. So there's a lot of pressure.
What's the total price on the space station?
I think it was like $1.5 trillion or something, inflation adjusted. It was, I don't know, it was in the trillions. It was like, I don't know, 1.1, 1.5, something like that.
Well, why, Google, are you not helping me?
Because when you do the space shuttle, each space shuttle launch to deliver parts, the R&D to make the modules, the upkeep to train the astronauts, the infrastructure to launch those things, like it was a very expensive project. I believe it's the most expensive thing humanity's ever built.
100 billion is like the number that I'm seeing on
Google. 100 billion?
Okay.
Maybe I
thought it was higher than that.
I think it is the most expensive thing, though. I think it was the most expensive.
Yeah, it's definitely the most
created.
Expensive. Yeah, it's definitely the most expensive. Probably the second most expensive is probably CERN over there in, was it France?
That sounds
That's
right.
probably the second most, but...
Yeah, interesting.
100 billion.
Not a trillion. 100 billion. That's like Elon Musk's net worth plus a little.
A little bit, yeah. He can almost pay for a new space station.
Almost. It's not like that's sitting in cash in his bank account.
Oh, man.
But, yeah. So not only do we have that awesome record that hasn't been broken since the 70s, we have 24, soon to be 25, consecutive Falcon 9 landings that are just nailing them. What do you think about that?
It's getting to the point where it's like, okay, show me something new.
Oh no!
Sometimes I'm excited to see the iffy ones when it's like the bar just rocking. Yeah, it's like, okay, is it gonna make it this time or not? That or the ones where it's return to launch site, but we haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, we haven't.
So
it's been a good couple months since return to launch site. Yeah, I would agree with you. It is getting a little boring. Like, there is that excitement of like, will it make it, will it not? And then the live stream always cuts out for like 2 seconds, and everyone's like, it landed. And yeah, I do agree with you. It is getting a little boring as far as, it being like, but hey, this is like a 9, right now, was it 27 stories? Jeez, how tall is that thing? Like, it's 200 and something feet.
27 stories.
27 story.
Well, the total rocket is like 27 stories, so probably around like 21.
Okay, this is like an over 20-story building landing on this moving little boat in the ocean. Like, it's objectively the coolest thing humanity has done in years.
And think about it. This thing is like, with its legs spread apart, it's probably 50, maybe 60 foot total with its legs spread.
It's about 60. I'd say about 60.
And it's landing. It's coming from the edge of space and landing on a football field, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
While it's moving up and down and side to side.
On a suicide burn.
Yeah. So if it doesn't start at that exact 0.01 seconds,
at the exact thrust it needs, it can't do anything about it. Kaboom.
Nope.
So,
but
bravo,
that
SpaceX.
was Starlink 18 was the 24th. We got a problem though.
What's the problem?
SpaceX can't count.
You mean, I've heard things about space companies not being able to convert from metric to standard systems, and losing spacecraft on their way to Mars because of unit conversions. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean SpaceX can't count?
No, it's similar. It's a little more mundane than that though.
Oh.
I think SpaceX thinks it goes 16, 18, 19, 17.
Oh, that's how I learned it. 15, 16, 18, 19, 17, 20, 21, 22. That's how I learned it.
So, of course, Starlink 17 got pushed back. We thought it was going to be a nice doubleheader for 17, 18. Then 17 got pushed back again. Then we got 18 that went up. Now we're still waiting on 17. But it looks like Starlink 19 is going to go up before 17. So
this is such a cool
and then,
period of history.
It's strange whenever it's so close together that they literally, one is just pushed back past two other ones for the same type of mission. But it looks like Starlink 19 is going to be up next, and that's going to be what day did we say that was actually going to end up being?
Starlink 19 is in 3 days.
Yes, the 12th.
The 12th, yes.
Yeah.
Of February.
So it's that is going to be yet another record, and I guess you might be able to call this other thing a record as well. But if it lands, that'll be the 25th consecutive landing. And then there's something else cool that's going to happen with this one. So it will be the 108th flight of the Falcon 9.
Wow.
And it's going to be the 54th reflight. So they will then be at the 50-50 point. They have launched just as many new boosters.
50. Okay.
Yep. So 108 total, 54th reflight. So you got 54 boosters that went up and did not fly again. And then 54 flights that were boosters that decided to go up again. And that's like a small number of those boosters or something like that. Maybe 12 boosters maybe doing all that.
That's really cool. Wow.
So,
108 flight.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
it feels like it's been more than that.
I didn't realize how... Yeah, I thought it was going to be a whole lot more flights than that.
I mean, still, that's a lot.
I guess it's just kind of like...
Space Shuttle took like almost 3 decades to get to 127.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're close on that.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been a decade.
But I think what happened is we're getting so used between this last year and a half, 2 years of just flight after flight after flight. Like, there's hardly a month that goes by without a flight, especially right now. But before that, it was like sometimes there might be a month or 2 month gap between a flight. So that was going since what, 2015 was the first flight of the Falcon 9 or something like that.
I don't know. I think 2015 was the first landing, if I recall. I think 2012 might have been the first launch. So that sounds right, but I'm probably not right. So
we're guessing sometimes here, folks. This is for entertainment.
Exactly.
You don't come to us for the actual exact numbers of everything.
If you are coming here for the exact numbers of everything, leave. I can't handle you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're just here for
June 4th, 2010 was the first flight of the Falcon 9.
Oh, so. See, we're both wrong. Look at that. Congratulations.
So you're looking at 11 years this thing has been flying, but most all the flights have been in the past 4 years.
Yeah,
so.
Pretty much. That's awesome.
I mean,
awesome pace of development.
Yeah.
That's.
For real.
I appreciate you bringing that up. That isn't. It doesn't look, when you see 108th flight and 54th reflight, it doesn't look like a big milestone. But when you realize that we're at the 50-50 point, where half of the Falcon 9 flights have been reused, that's very amazing. Cannot believe that.
And that will be the 5th launch so far for this year. So when you take that's 5 launches in basically a month and a half at that point. It, compared to 5 launches in a year, is what it used to be.
If that.
Yeah, if that.
That is.
So.
I think we're making it. I think people are like, oh yeah, we're not gonna make it to Mars in our lifetime, and I'm like, no, there's a chance. I mean, it's not a 100% chance. I wouldn't even say it's a 20% chance, but there's a chance there.
Yeah.
Because just as is.
But well, like we said, 19 goes up on the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to have a record-setting turnarown time this time.
Unfortunately,
it's a 55-day turnaround, so it's
just so
more
long.
on the standard of what they have been.
Under 2 months. Can you believe that?
Basically 2, yeah. Slick 40, so Space Launch Complex 40, and it will be the 75th booster landing. So
yeah, that is impressive.
If it lands, that's how many we've kept, or at least have
intact.
Had land. So it'll be the 75th with the 25th consecutive, which is very satisfying to me, who's a little OCD about stuff like that. Numbers.
5.
It looks pretty.
75. It's perfect. Don't lose another booster, SpaceX. You're gonna mess it all up.
It's pretty. It's pretty.
You better stick the landing Starlink 19.
So, yep. And then, of course, like we said, SpaceX can't count, so 17 comes right after that. A few days later. That's looking like on the 15th. So
and also on the 15th, supposedly right now, we have a Soyuz Progress resupply mission happening. That's MS-16, which will be carrying 700 kilograms of propellant to the ISS and 1,350 kilograms of dry cargo, food, water, and all the other cool systems that people need up there in space. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
That we got another Soyuz going.
So the crew needs a little water, and so does the space station, or at least needs a little drink.
Needs a little drink of fuel. I've rewatched one of my favorite Scott Manley videos, because this is just entertainment and now not news. One of my favorite Scott Manley videos is his description of how the control gyros, the control moment gyros, work on the ISS. Yeah. Where each one of these gyroscopes is absorbing all of the movement on the station and able to reorient it just by controlling the direction of the gyroscope. And in order for the station to be kept, or the station keeping to be maintained, eventually all of these gyroscopes, I believe there are 4 of them right now, all get pointed in the same direction at some point. It's bound to happen. And so in order to reset the system, they actually have to use propellant. So many people don't know this, but there are rocket thrusters on the ISS. They're very small. I think they only have 40 or 50 Delta V.
They're tiny.
Delta V. Yeah, they're just small little things. But they have to use these to desaturate the reactant control system. And maybe it's not control wheels. Anyway. I'm spiraling here, so I'm just going to summarize and say, go watch Scott Manley's very articulate video.
It's been a while since that video.
Exactly, so. But I was just like,
it's a great watch.
They're uploading 700 kilograms of propellant in order to continue to maintain station keeping. So that is that.
They're uploading 700 kilograms of propellant.
What did I say? Did I say downloading? Oh no.
You said uploading.
Yeah, I hope
they're just beaming it to the space station from Starlink.
Yeah, they're uploading. I think that's what it's called when they're loading it up. I mean, what else would you say? They're bringing it up. They're sticking 700 kilograms of propellant into the back of a Soyuz resupply progress mission, and then they're going to take it to the station,
shipping.
And then they're going to connect a pipe from one tank to another, and then they're going to move the propellant. Yeah, I don't know. Also, the other interesting thing about this Soyuz resupply mission is that we are having some new equipment to be able to detect and fix any air leaks aboard the station. And if you recall, we had that weird pierce. Basically, there's a very small hole in one of the Russian segments, and they were trying to figure out where it was because they could tell somewhere in the system there was pressure loss, very gradual, nothing catastrophic, and they had plenty of pressurized air to refill that, so it wasn't in danger to the crew. But they're trying to figure out where this hole was coming from so they could fix it. And one of the astronauts, they had all of these complicated methods, all the rocket scientists on the ground strategizing ways to tell where this pressure was being lost from. But one of the astronauts, I forget who it was, but he just took a tea bag, ripped it open, and observed the little tea leaves, literally read the tea leaves as they floated towards the exit point of the hole. So anyway, there's a new system.
That's literally a MacGyver.
Yeah, literally MacGyver reading the tea leaves.
That's literally MacGyver.
So we have the new propellant, and we have a new system to be able to detect leaks on the ISS, which I think is fairly important because I wouldn't go on a boat without some flex tape.
Yep. So, well, we have some stuff going up.
Yep.
But there's a couple things coming down.
Down? What? Crew 1 isn't coming back anytime soon. What do you mean? Oh, you mean coming down, as in coming down over there, like on Mars.
Yeah,
yes.
Way over there.
Way over there. Well, hey, do you remember last summer we were all excited about Bob and Doug and everything, but we were also launching Perseverance and some other Mars missions over to Mars. Well, the wait is finally over. Middle of this month is when all of those probes are going to be landing on Mars. So if you're a fan of the Mars Hope probe, which is the UAE, the United Arab Emirates' first interplanetary mission, they will be arriving, as we're recording this, tomorrow morning. So it will probably be just a little bit delayed for you guys, because I don't think this podcast is going to go up tomorrow morning. So in recent history, the Mars Hope probe has landed, hopefully successfully. Best of luck and success to the team over there in the UAE and in Boulder, Colorado. We really hope that your probe makes it into the atmosphere of Mars and does not disintegrate into the atmosphere of Mars, because it is an observatory. So that is a pretty cool thing. And also, Percy is landing middle of next week. February 18th is the projected not re-entry. I always want to say re-entry date because I'm so used to saying re-entry.
Oh, yeah.
No, it is just entry. This is the first.
I didn't even catch that.
It's not re-entry. You haven't left yet. So yeah, the entry date is supposed to be on February 18th for the Perseverance rover. Obviously, that is subject to change due to course corrections and possible miscalculations. So stay up to date with all that by watching NASA's space feed. But what's unique about this is, just like Opportunity, the other rover, we had a sky crane landing where a mechanism with 4 thrusters lit up and kind of hovered above the surface and used a cable to drop the main payload down on the ground. Perseverance is obviously going to be using this system again because they're sibling robots. But what's interesting about this is Perseverance is equipped with a microphone, and we can actually listen to the entire landing sequence later. So I am really, really looking forward to hearing
like space.
The ASMR of a Martian landing will be really epic. So
is this how we're going to start talking about Perseverance in ASMR?
See, the really funny thing is, DJ...
Somebody's probably screaming at their mic, screaming at their screen and going like, what?
See,
why are y'all doing
this? The funny
this?
thing is I can't hear what DJ said because we're using different microphones to listen to each other. And I'm pretty sure DJ couldn't hear what I said because I don't think I'm using that microphone right now. So only post-production Nick will know what DJ said. So... yeah, we have 2 Mars incoming missions, and I believe there's another one, but it's slipping my mind. I can't remember what the other. There are 3 missions that were getting launched during the transfer window, so that one will also be landing at some point in the next few weeks. So keep on the lookout for that. Exciting stuff. we should close out the show, but before we do that, we need to mention the biggest piece of news from SN 9.2, which was the podcast we recorded last time. It was one of our big conversations here. I don't think we're going to have time to totally rehash it, but I definitely want to mention the Inspiration 4 mission. Wow. That was a couple thoughts ago, huh?
All right, so Nick, would you like to go to low Earth orbit?
Me? DJ, of course I would like to go to low Earth orbit. Please take me.
Well, thanks to this guy named, wow, I already lost his name on here.
Let me pull it up.
He's Shift 4 Payment Processor CEO. Yeah, basically he bought 4 seats on a Crew Dragon.
Wow.
It's not going to the space station, but it is going to go into low Earth orbit, and you probably have like 2 to 4 days on orbit, and 2 of those seats are up for grabs.
Ooh. So now, first, Jared Isaacman
Nick
is the gentleman's name, CEO of Shift 4 Payments. So congratulations to him for being super rich and wanting to send people to space. So the 3 seats are, one of them is going to be given away to a St. Jude employee, I believe. Or maybe not.
Yep, and that is the Hope seat.
Yeah. So the other 2 seats, which are available for the public, one of you listening to this show right now, if you go to the website inspiration4.com, you might have a chance of being in one of these seats. It's a pretty small chance. I'd say probably be better to try to get struck by lightning while sitting in the belly of a shark under the ocean, but there is a chance that you could go to space. There are 2 ways to do that. Number 1 would be the more difficult way, in our opinion, would be the prosperity seat, which is to start a Shift for Shop business and post your story on social media, and a team of celebrity judges will decide who gets that seat. So basically, you have to have a high volume merchandise product business that you can move to Shift 4 Shop, because I think there is an income threshold. It's fairly low. I think it's like $2,500 a month or something like that, but definitely a little bit more strings attached there. But it would probably be the easier, if you're in that pool of people, you'd have a better chance of, being one of, because I don't think there'll be as many people in that pool. Yeah. However, the easiest way to get a possible small chance to get to space is to donate to St. Jude, which is really cool, because St. Jude's an amazing organization who helps cancer research and helps kids. So awesome reason to donate, but awesome place to donate. But the reason to donate is even cooler, because 100% of your donation does go to St. Jude's, and you can purchase a entry ticket, 100 entries for $10. But there are some pretty exciting prizes that go along if you donate more, say on the order of, $10,000, $50,000, something like that. You can get some pretty cool experiences.
Yeah, and it looks like, since the last time we talked about it, all of the high-priced donations are all sold out. So the highest price donation you can get at this point is $520, or enter your own custom amount, and then you can, of course,
50,000. The one above the $520.
No, the other ones are sold out.
No, $50,000 for an aerobatic flight in a MiG-29, plus an authentic flight suit with a Mission 4 inspiration patches. There are 2 of those left. So if you have a cool $50,000 sitting around, you too could donate that to St. Jude's and get 10,000 entries to go to
I was
orbit.
Looking at
Yeah, it's the one above from the bottom. So that is pretty cool. However, my personal recommendation, I am a cheapskate by nature, so if you scroll all the way to the very bottom of the link that they give you on the inspiration4.com website, the very, very bottom of the list of all the things that you can buy, you can actually click, and for free, just by giving them your email, you can get a single entry to put your name in the hat for the grand adventure that is going to space. So for free, you can click that little link, give them your email, and you will be in the running. Have you done that yet, DJ?
Yep. I have, and I'm crossing my fingers that I will get that win on one ticket.
I most certainly have not started up about 4,000 emails and have definitely not filled them all. No, I haven't. That would be terrible. I do.
Then I shall not shame you, Nick.
I want to go to space, guys. But yeah, so that's a cool opportunity. If you end up winning, feel free to hit me up. I'll give you all of our merch. You are more than welcome to wear our merch on orbit. Exciting stuff there.
Man.
So congratulations to whoever will win those seats. With that, I think that is all our prepared stuff. Do you have any closing thoughts, DJ?
If you would love to donate your winning seat to me at some point, that'd be great. I will take it.
I will also say, please give me your seat. Both DJ and I will be stepping over each other to try to get your seat.
It's like rock, paper, scissors of the century to figure out who's actually going to get it.
Best out of 7, okay? Oh, boy. All right.
Yeah, but good luck to you, those of you who enter, and...
No, I think we got to wish SN10 best of luck during its pressure tests and its static fires, and hopefully this video worked and we don't have any production issues.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's hope on this video.
If this video doesn't work, then we just wasted another hour and a half of our lives, and we might need to reconsider our thoughts on everything. So, anywho, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and a normal week. We'll see you next week. Have a very wonderful time. See you in the stars. God bless.